We want to welcome you to the Why Not You podcast. And as always, we want to say thank you for even following along on this journey. This is a podcast where we take opportunities to speak of what God's doing in our current context of our church culture, sermons, even what's taking place outside the four walls of the church, and random, sometimes nonsensical, unrelated issues that maybe we just want to talk about. And I wouldn't call the Spurs a nonsensical, irrelevant issue because both of you, both being Laker fans. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to just welcome right now to the show Pastor Q and Pastor Hutch, who, by the way, are Laker fans.
And we beat the Spurs. I'm going to say it humbly. We did. I'm going to say it humbly.
Yes.
But we did.
Cut the mics.
Mics.
Without LeBron.
Without the king, lowercase k.
Yeah.
Lowercase k, king, but without the king.
Gave them their second loss.
Yeah, just
Thank
we're
you.
going to put that out there. But
Thank
we
you.
love San Antonio.
We do.
We love San Antonio.
We do.
Is it like number 2 team right now? Would it be a number 2
Honestly,
team?
I would say that.
They're number 2 in the
I would
West.
say that.
No,
not in our hearts.
No. I'm talking about in your hearts.
In our hearts.
I'm not
Oh,
talking
in our
about,
hearts.
I would
I'm
say
not
that they
talking
are.
about
I'm
in
looking
the
at
Western
like
Conference.
they're number 2 in the
They're
West.
number
right
2
now.
in
You
my heart.
honestly go on record and say at least they're number 2?
100%.
You don't got another city like you're an Oklahoma guy?
I could care less about.
Okay.
Okay, that's all that
the
matters.
Thunder.
I don't have
We're
any
going to
other-
get to important things right now. However, I just wanted to begin with this conversation. Behind the cameras, we got our guy Carter, who is new to the team.
Yeah.
You'll meet him somewhere along the line. And then we got Cam. So Cam and Carter behind the camera, shout out to them because they do a lot of the legwork to make this what it is.
Yeah.
But we want to say thank you for following. We encourage you to subscribe to the podcast and then also go to Instagram, Why Not You Pod as well. As we talk about Why Not You, here's the message. We're just believing what God believes about us. And one of the things that we needed to talk about today specifically is this past weekend's message. And I want to begin with a level of conviction and confession. I had not preached on, this is embarrassing to say out loud, tithing in an entire message. I have had a lot of along the way sound bites here, but a message on its entirety on tithing since 2017, 9 years ago. And I think for me, I was convicted by this initial thought. Number one complaint about churches is they always talk about money. So that's been in the back of my mind. However, I've chosen to address from this stage and in this platform some of the most complex, difficult subjects that honestly, culturally, in church context, has been, it's not divisive for us, it's just truth. But it has tremendous ramifications and comments on social media, etc. But for me, man, this is going to sound crazy. It's just a confession. More nervous about talking about tithing than any of the subject matters in regards to genders between male, female, marriages, man, woman. And when we talk about the marriage unit and we talk about sanctity of life, you know, all of these major issues, man, just stand full boldness and conviction. But this one on tithing, back in my mind, man, people ain't trying to hear this. But this is the moment of conviction and clarity by the Holy Spirit. Ed, you're teaching them how to read their Bible, pray, evangelize, disciple, all the tenets of what we would call the spiritual disciplines.
Yeah.
And you're not going to talk to them about tithing? And that's where I got convicted. So I want to alley-oop to you guys in the spirit of the Spurs. So
Yeah. No, I'm with you. When this weekend, when you listed those out and talked about the spiritual disciplines, it hit me because I was like, that's right. Stewardship is a spiritual discipline. Yeah. And stewardship is not just your time and your talent, but it's also in regards to how you're stewarding the finances that God's given you. And so, yeah, man, I've been your friend a long time, and you, you stand strong on the truths and principles of God's word with so many things. So many. I mean, just even with what we've recently talked about, there's one book, there's one holy book.
One holy book.
Calling stuff out, calling false religions, and all this stuff. Then you get into everything with, homosexuality, same sex,
Yeah.
same sex marriage, transgenderism, women in,
Women's
men
ministry.
in women's sport, all the stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Women in ministry. Controversial
Women
issue.
in minute, all the things. But for whatever reason, like you said, it's when we talk about money, people, it's different. And we saw it, Marquise. I know you weren't here.
Come on. I was kind of hoping that
Listen,
we were going to go there.
but it was Saturday night. We had just got through. It was like point one,
Principle of tithing.
and behind me, I mean, it was loud, and I hear a man yelling, "Why are we talking about money?" And there's and I'll be honest.
Did you know that, Pastor Q?
You mentioned somebody shouting out stuff. I did not.
It was
know
like
this in
it was like,
detail.
"Why are we talking
I
about
did not know
money?"
that.
And his collective
Screaming.
gasp. And Ed, is on the stage and he's like, wait, what was that? Why are we talking about money and not talking about Jesus? And then walks out.
Which your triggers of what you was kind of
Well, you have to, and you said it, because immediately
right.
but what people didn't see before this is more people had walked out of the service up to this point. After point one, principle of tithing, people grabbed, not all,
Yeah.
but a good number of people. For those that are watching, we're looking at right now 3,400 seats, and we have what's called a mezzanine, and that's a fancy way of saying kind of quasi-balcony. So I could see in I call it the waterfall, people moving, whole families, people like grab their stuff, walk out. So I'm already in my feels
Yeah.
in that moment. And then, boom, all of that screaming. And then our congregation, and if you're new to CBC, man, we got a rowdy bunch.
Yeah.
And I thought, dear God, we're about to have a riot.
Because others were coming back saying, "No, you preach, Ed.
Yeah.
Like, you preach, Ed."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and so
know
as a
that.
campus pastor,
Somebody yelled, bye-bye.
oh,
It was
but I'll be
wild.
honest,
It was
my
wild.
heart was racing.
Yeah.
Because I turned and I looked and I was like, I don't know what's about to happen.
Yeah.
And we got a great team. Immediately
Shout out.
communicate with our pastor Sean.
Pastor
Sean's out the
Sean
door.
Metcalf.
I looked at Adolph, who's sitting right here on stage. Adolph security. He's like, we're on it, and we'll tell everyone kind of the backstory
Yeah.
of what happens after that. But from the stage, Ed, what was going through your? You've had people interrupt you before. It's went viral.
Yeah.
Of different stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But this was the first time about money.
Mm-hmm. That's never happened before. I think immediately this is what Pastor Q was talking about. I was already in the back of my mind. It triggered something that I already felt. Yeah. Because to put in context, you got the government shutdown going on, and people are hurting, man. Yeah. People are struggling, trying to figure out. We're watching a lot of people not be able to get food because of government subsidies have stopped. I even said that at the beginning of the message. Man, we're not tone deaf to what's going on, but it's more of when there's a crisis in our community, generosity should be the natural response. Generosity should be a conversation we have when things get hard. Generosity, because that's the Acts chapter 2 model of caring for people in need. But in my spirit, I was like, I wanted to say out loud, I don't want to talk about money either. That's what I wanted to say.
Right.
I wanted to say, I don't want to talk. You think I want to stand up here and talk about this? But it's necessary. And I said this. I said, man, the enemy has a way of using this money of message. And I said that out loud. Uses the money. It's kind of loose paraphrase here. The enemy has the ability to put a stronghold on people's wallets in space like that they can't even hear conversations about biblical stewardship because the juxtaposition of the church isn't about money. But then we look back to what we talked about this weekend. Jesus, 1/3 out of every parable had something to do with stewardship of resources.
Right.
And he talked more about money than he did combined heaven and hell. So why? Because the enemy has a stronghold on our heart through the vehicle of finances. And that's the issue. And I felt like for me, I wish, and I think this is important that for anybody that's communicating in spaces about subjects of money, I think we're at the place now. And so I always go back from a Saturday night service and 4 services on Sunday. I took a moment and I was like, man, what can I do? And I don't know if you remember this, before the 8 o'clock service, I'm sitting in this room with you, Pastor Hutch, on this campus, and I'm walking through some stuff. And I think what happened, and I think it's important that every leader, and I'm not always the best at this, allows feedback. We got to get out of the echo chamber of our own head.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, man, what could I have done different?
Mm-hmm.
And you made some comments to me about how about we just address specifically the mega church mentality. And I didn't do that the night before.
Mm-hmm.
I talked about what's going on in culture, but I didn't address the mega church mentality of money. This was the game changer for me in the whole talk that I think lowered the gloves, raised the bar, but lowered the gloves of, I don't want to talk about this. Was specifically talking about, I think it's important, we'll look into a camera, I actually said this, and you heard this, all services here, all across our campuses, I don't get the money personally out of the offering. Yeah. It doesn't go to me. A portion of it does in regards to overall salaries of 270 employees. Right. So yeah, I had to communicate, the offering does not go specifically only to me. Yep. And I said, and some of you came from churches that is true. And when I said that, there was an audible. Yeah. That's right. Yep. So when I said, hey, I don't even set my own salary, that the board of directors here, who are members of our church, look at national surveys of other churches and determine, based upon the size of our church and the responsibility of what's been given, my salary is set by them. Mm-hmm. Which means next year, they can go, we don't feel like you should be making this, you make this. And I don't get a say-so in that. I don't get any say-so in that. Yeah. They determine that. The moment I said that, I think there was a moment of like, oh. Mm-hmm. And I just wish I would have known that. Why am I saying all that? Because I think that would have maybe prevented my guy from not saying what he said.
Yeah. I mean, can we give the whole story here, just the backstage pass to our people?
Yeah, I think this is worth, talking about.
And again, it's not about it's not about making this a story.
Yeah.
I want you to understand that. This isn't about like, oh, we're doing this to make it a story. No, not at all. It's so one of our pastors, security, grabs this guy, and I'll be honest, one of the first things he said when he walked out of this place and got with one of our pastors is he was embarrassed. Mm-hmm. He said, I wish I would have never said that. Mm-hmm. He said, I can't believe I said that. And so they talk with him, they're ministering to him and all this stuff. And then word gets to him that, hey, how pastor always does. Mm-hmm. He's like, hey, I want to meet that guy. So after the service, we bring him, backstage, comes into the room with his friend Mike.
Yeah, great
pastor.
guy.
And so then walks in and they have this moment. You can tell he's emotional.
Yeah.
Like he's asking for forgiveness. And Pastor Ed was great. He's like, man, there's grace here. He said that was the first thing he led with. There's grace here. And I'll let you tell the story.
This is where it gets wild, Pastor Marquise, because he's going, hey man,
I don't know if I know this part.
This is in my humble opinion, it's a full circle moment of redemption where he was hurting. Yeah. And it was evident. He was hurting. He was talking about the difficulty of what, and this is why it's important to talk about money. Is stewardship and where to go, what to do, how to put God first, all those things. It's not about a sermon. It's about what God's trying to release in and through you, so you're not a slave to the lender. That's right. Where you're so strapped. Financial pressure breaks people down. It crushes marriages. And this brother was struggling because his family was going through a hard time, and his truck had a broken transmission. Mm-hmm. And he says, I can't get to work. I got to work. I can't get to work. Once more, money. I need money, and I can't get money if I don't work, and I can't get to work if I don't got a transmission. And I said, brother, I don't know about you. I said, but I think it's pretty wild that we're having this conversation right now. Where else in any church can you yell at the pastor? And we're having a conversation about this. There's grace. And I said, and I looked at Pastor Hutch. I said, Pastor Hutch knows some guys. We gave away 2 cars last week. People give us stuff, and we give it away.
Yep. Yeah. And I want to be clear, but it's not like it's people, what Pastor Ed just said, are saying, hey, I've got this. Is there a family in need that would need this vehicle?
Yes.
I want them to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what, and Hutch was like, I know a guy.
Yeah. I got the guy that, my guy, Jose, who is an incredible mechanic.
Yeah,
I've already got in touch with him. He's going to go to the guy's house, and we're going to help take care of this guy's transmission.
And that's what, not just CBC, man. That's an Acts 2 church.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And that's why this is important. And as we talk about just giving and finances, I know we need to talk about some other things, but I think for me, Pastor Marquise, I think it'd be important to hear just your context. I know where Hutch and I came from, out of a Baptist church dynamic. We're passing plates.
Yes.
Every service passed the plate. Yeah. Wednesday night we passing a plate. Yeah. Everything's a plate. Yeah. But when it came to tithes and offerings, it was clear teaching, man, in Baptist church. I just think non-denominational, this is all new to me. I've been here 10 years. I say new, it's been 10 years. But Pastor Robert started this church. For those of you that are new to CBC, we don't pass plates. We have offering boxes in the back. He started, think about this, 1990, started the church, never passed a plate. From the beginning. Wow. Offering box in the back. Wow. It's been the culture. He said, we're going to build a church to reach men. And the way we're going to reach men is that we're going to make lessons understandable, and we're not going to talk about money, because money is the number one deterrent for men to go to church. And built on that. Yeah. So, but tell us a little bit about just your thoughts and your background in that space. In your space.
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts. I'm going to kind of just word vomit a little bit here. Number one, for anybody that's wondering, when we say the word tithe, that's 10%.
Yes, sir.
So it could be a church term or a biblical term, but tithe just means 10%. And so when we talk about that idea of tithing or giving, generosity, stewardship, what I've always loved about you, Pastor Ed, and CBC is we always say we're going to teach the whole Bible. Mm-hmm. And in teaching the whole Bible, you're going to come to money. Mm-hmm. And money's a part of teaching the whole Bible. And so for us, that's one of those areas where it's a discipleship issue. Mm-hmm. It really is. And when Jesus says that your heart is tied to your money, where your treasure is, there your heart is also. Mm-hmm. Man, that's a direct correlation. That's right. It's a revelation of what's going on in my heart. When he says you cannot, in the same passage, you cannot serve both God and money. Mm-hmm. You can't have. No man can have 2 masters. Which he puts money on the level of master. Yeah, like your money can master you. We've all been in a place where we have felt that. And what I love, and the entire message, and I'm not just saying this, I really do think people need to go back and talk and listen to it, because the whole idea, the theme of it all, that I really thought was just a gut punch was when we give and we steward our money well and we put God first with our money, it breaks the back of greed.
Yes, sir.
It breaks, and what your language is, it drains my heart of greed, of I got to figure this out. I'm my provider. It checks me to say, no, God is my provider. Mm-hmm. And for me, it was awesome to hear it under that mindset, because going a little bit of just settings that I've been in and particular areas of ministry I've been in, where it was, this is a mandate. You don't give, you don't get blessed. It's you give some money, God blesses you. You don't give, God doesn't bless you. That mindset was really the undergirding of financial teaching. But a lot of people are not, they don't understand that, and they shouldn't. I think that's a bad theology of giving and a bad theology of money. And so under that mindset, when you come to church and you're hearing, well, I got to give in order to be blessed, or if I don't give, I'm cursed with a curse. That is not what we believe at all. That is nowhere near what we believe, and that is not the precedence in which we talk about when it comes to stewardship and money. But for me, growing up in certain contexts, I'll tell you, man, there was a season of my life where I was exposed to a whole lot of what the church world would call the prosperity gospel. And the prosperity gospel is when you give your money, God will bless you materialistically and with your health. You want to give, or you want to get rid of cancer in your body, you give. You want to get a free tuition, you give money. And it was that whole transactional exchange false gospel. When we mention prosperity in terms of the gospel, in terms of a biblical lens, prosperity, the greatest gift we get in our prosperity when we become a Christian is Jesus. It's the greatest gift we get. And it is not a promise of materialistic blessing. And I said this when we talked about this before. And my spiritual father taught me this, if you cannot preach this message in a third world country, it doesn't need to be preached. And when I was up there getting ready to preach a message off of some televangelists that I saw and some people, bad theology, where you give a blessing, God's going to give you that car, and God's going to give you. And my pastor was like, can you go to a third world country preach this message? I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, if you can't preach it over there, it's not the gospel. Man. And I think it's just a sound mindset when it comes to giving and money of like, Jesus did not die for us to have this Americanized, comfortable, suburban faith. No, the gospel is so much more than that. So for us, and I love the fact that you even waded into these waters, and I mean it when I say this because, and I'll say this on my campus, and I told you this a little bit before we started rolling, there was an audible gasp at the North Campus when you mentioned the statistic, which is less than 3% of CBCers of CBC, less than 3% of CBCers give 10%. And it was like a, whoa, look how God has sustained us and blessed us. But man, imagine if we took this message, which now you just mentioned this, the whole idea of finances and how we need to break the back of being mastered by finances. Imagine if we actually use this as a stewardship issue, a discipleship issue, and even started moving the needle of like, man, what if I put God first in my finances? That, in my opinion, is when we as the church, Acts 2, start doing incredible kingdom business. Yeah. And so it was incredible to hear. I really do believe that.
That's a word, man.
Let me get real practical with you because when I was in high school, I worked at a telephone computer operating thing where we would receive phone calls in from many of these prosperity gospel people on TV, you know, we had all kinds of clients, you know, all kinds, but some of them were these, and I'll never forget this one call that I got, and we have our thing that we read.
You work at a call center?
I did. I worked at a call center in high school, and so they you have a prompt, and so you read it. Thank you for calling so and so ministries, you know, and you walk through and you have your greeting, and I'm talking to this lady on the phone, all right, and she's crying. And she says, all I have left is $1,000. That's all I have left. But this person said, if I sow this seed, then I'm going to be blessed. Remember, quality control wasn't a thing yet. Okay.
Yeah.
Where everyone's listening to you know.
You went off script, didn't you?
Yes. Yes. So we weren't being listened to by supervisors.
Yeah.
But people are all around me, you know, and so then I said, ma'am, what is your immediate need? What do you need? You know, and she said some things. I said, my advice to you is take care of your family first. Like,
yeah, that's correct.
Do what you need to do.
Yeah.
The heart behind this isn't like you give this $1,000 and all of a sudden you're going to get 10.
Right.
Because it's about your heart. Yep. So practically, Pastor, a lot of people that are watching this, you know, maybe even like your brother, you know, that yelled out.
Yeah.
he's got money that he needs to put towards his transmission. But he's, like sometimes people get this mixed up. They're feeling the guilt of I need to give or whatever in order to get.
Yeah.
So what would you practically say to these people who, man, they're not tithing right now? They've got things that they need to do to take care of.
Absolutely.
What are some steps here?
Yeah, I would say that for some to tithe 10% would be a flat out miracle.
Right.
Based upon looking at their financial portfolio of what they're responsible for.
Yep.
I think in that moment, it could be reckless. If you're an individual by yourself and you're like, I'm going all in, I'm going to live in some crazy faith. But to put your family in that situation, your children and all those kind of things, I'm not discouraging anybody from walking in crazy faith. There's moments to be called in crazy faith, but I think the scripture's real clear on calculate the cost of what this is. I would just say God cares more about your heart than the percentage.
Right. That's it. It's the heart.
It's not the number right now.
Yeah.
If you're at a place of you haven't, he just says, test me.
Yep.
He does say bring the tithe into the storehouse, but he doesn't say if you bring 9%. But I know the tithe is 10%, and this is like the letter of the law. But this is the part where we get into the New Testament conversation of this. Where's the grace in this?
Yeah.
The grace is in the fact you just got to start somewhere. Could your first step of obedience be, I'm just going to put you first, God? So for me, for somebody, it's to say, I can't start at 10% now based upon what's going on, but I am going to take a look at this, and I'm going to get a plan together. It's going to be a proportional reality of my finances, and I'm going to be consistent with it.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to try to grow in my generosity. Just start somewhere.
Yeah.
For somebody, that's 1%.
Yep.
Yeah.
It just you go, I can't do 2. Then start with 1.
Yeah.
Just start somewhere.
And the reality of that is the ceiling is also not 10%. Because there's some people that are very comfortable checking that Old Testament.
They don't miss it.
And they're like, oh, we're good. I'm just checking the box. But again, it's a heart issue.
Which is why Jesus deals with the widow who put less than 2, she put 2 coins in, it was less than 1 cent.
Yep.
He gave more.
Yep.
But Jesus goes, actually, she gave more.
She gave more.
That's right.
So that's why it's, because for some people, 10%, you're giving out of your abundance. You're not giving out of sacrifice.
Yep.
And that's where so what is the level of sacrifice? I think that's a predicated number to everybody that's different based upon what they're facing. Whatever that is, it's sacrificial.
Yeah.
But if you're giving out of your abundance and you don't miss it, somebody could be given 25%, and the Lord's like, it's not even sacrificial to you. So it's about the heart.